So how many of you out there think, I'm going to go for a walk that is going to burn off those calories and I will be thin in no time? Well, I have news for you. There's multiple studies out there showing that this just unfortunately is not true. If you look at the article, The Exercise Paradox in Scientific American, it debunks this. If you look at a recent study done called the InVest study, and it was done on weighted vests to determine if they help you lose fat and build muscle during a caloric restriction. And they had three groups. One group was just on a pure caloric restriction. The second group was caloric restriction and they wore a weighted vest. And the third group was a caloric restriction and they strength trained 3 times a week. Well, at the end of the day, they all lost the same amount of weight. It did not make a difference. Here is the caveat though. The group that just had the caloric restriction and the group that had the caloric restriction and wore the weighted vests, their weight loss was a combination of fat and muscle. Their muscle decreased a lot. They did not hold on to muscle during the weight loss, and that is a huge problem. The group that resistance trained 3 times a week lost the same amount of weight, but they held on to their muscle. They got stronger, the muscles got bigger and denser. So that means the weight that they lost was the fat, it was not muscle. So going on a severe caloric restriction does not guarantee, if you start walking or doing something like that, that you're going to be losing more weight if you're out there doing other things except resistance training. You're still going to lose the weight, and severe caloric restriction is not the way to go. But again, if you're doing that, if on that severe caloric restriction and you're also resistance training, it signals your body to hold on to the muscle. When it holds on to the muscle, what is it going to burn? It is going to burn the fat. So going out for a walk, even with a weighted vest, does not help you lose any more weight than being on a caloric restriction. This was an almost $3 million study over the course of a year. I believe there are 150 participants, and severe caloric restriction versus walking, even with a weighted vest, did not cause them to lose any more weight, one group to the other. Again, the only group that maintained and built muscle was the group that resistance trained 3 times a week. The other two groups lost fat and lost muscle. You never want to lose muscle. So if you're out there thinking, I'm walking and I'm going to lose weight, I'm sorry. There's studies out there that prove that is not the case. You want to lose fat and not muscle. I recommend intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, whatever you want to call it, along with resistance training. This is in my book. I make sure it is mandatory that you resistance train and get enough protein while you're doing this so you're losing fat and not muscle. If you want to learn more, resources are in the profile.